And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition here of the StarCraft Evolution League, the SCL number 20, your bi-weekly dose of SC Evolution content. I'm of course your VIP. With you, I'm joined by these amazing players and by the people in the chat as well. Welcome one and all to not just our coverage of SCL number 20, but also one of the last StarCraft Evolution League Open Cups. Oh boy, we did go over this during the podcast, of course, but there has been a recent change announced, and that is the end of the open tournament structure and the beginning of the league structure instead. It is a bit of a shame. As I mentioned during the podcast, ideally we would have both running concurrently, open cups and the leagues as well, but alas, only enough room for one or the other. I don't know if we have confirmed dates yet of the start date of the Code S version or of the Code S League of the StarCraft Evolution League itself. Don't think we have confirmation yet, but on the horizon here. So we have some catching up to do. We have some catching up to do in regard to the Open Cups leading into the main event itself. There is going to be the Code S, and then I think they were playing around with the idea of a Code A and Code B for StarCraft Evolution League. Likewise, they're also going to be hosting a ladder invitational as well, which is a good idea as well, kind of promoting incentive to compete on the SC or the StarCraft Evolution ladder. But regardless, we do have our Open Cup here, and we're going to be jumping in. We're going to be jumping into the quarterfinals. Here we go. For those who are just tuning in for the first time, this is StarCraft Evolution. This is a mod that does bring together both Brood War versus SC2. So it is a custom fun mod that has been gaining some traction over time, with more pro players dipping their toes in and competing. When it comes to the most recent players to adopt this, I would say Solar, alongside Creator, alongside Cure and Rogue. It did start playing this a little bit more frequently, a little bit more often, and you will see them a little bit more when it comes to the Open Cup tournaments. But regardless, we are going to be jumping in. Up first, we do have a TvZ between ByuN and Rumeith. Let's go. Let us go. We're jumping into the quarterfinals here. Again, the plan here for tonight's broadcast is to cover the quarterfinals leading into the semis and then the grand finals thereafter. Oh boy, a lot of content, a lot of casting, a lot of StarCraft. Do apologize for the delay to cover this event as well. Big reason for that was, of course, TLMC, the TLMC 22 judging streams and judging feedback streams did take priority, of course. Likewise, we covered the GSL qualifiers and the RSL qualifiers, everything all just at once. GSL, RSL, and TLMC all hitting together at once. That did push back some of our coverage of events like StarCraft Evolution, of the Patch Clash, and of other events that were on the back burner for a little bit. But now we can catch up somewhat. Again, GSL does begin next week, and we'll be covering that as well, so there's a lot to get into. But now, though, spawning in the bottom hand corner of Mothership, we have the South Korean Zerg player, we have the Red Zerg, the Brood War Zerg. It is Rumeith. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Terran player, himself. We have the South Korean Terran representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Let's go. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Bienvenidos, bienvenidos. Just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that there was a fix to the replays that Blizzard broke with their most recent patch. I should also give an update as well. Blizzard, they broke their patch, and then I want to say like 2 days later they fixed it. So you don't need the fix anymore to view older replays. It has already been rectified within the base game itself. That was hotfixed like a couple of days ago. So it was hotfixed. Unfortunately, I don't think as many people reported on the fact that it was fixed as they did that it was broken, which is unfortunate. But yes, the fix is no longer required, as you can already just go in. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It is a shame that they broke it to begin with. Fun fact, that the period in time where it was quote-unquote broken was during the GSL qualifiers, which means that I don't think anyone, because of that, I think we're going to be the only people that have casted the GSL qualifiers, because those replays specifically are broken because they're in that small window in between like fixed and broken like state, which is a little bit unfortunate. I mean, I guess it's cool that we have exclusivity now, but yeah, unfortunate for the other content creators that maybe wanted to cover it via replays or something. But there we go. Here we go. We do have our initial opener here. It is going to be a initial double racks opener. Sorry, I should say racks expand into second racks, into a third racks, into, I would imagine, a stim timing. We'll keep an eye on ByuN. Meanwhile, back across the map, Rumeith is going for his own hatch gas pool into his own macro hatchery. Overlords are being sent out to welcome to Mothership. Mothership is a 3-player small map, so we are looking for each other, and we'll see if ByuN goes for a straight up 2-on-1 or for a 3 racks. Based on the fact that we're waiting here for the racks to conclude, for the gas to be taken, we're leaning more towards factory and starport play. Eyes are on ByuN. Yep, there we go. So it's going to be a straight up 2-on-1 here from our Terran player, and we'll see if Rumeith can keep up with that 2-on-1 timing. Oh boy. Now, historically, when it comes to StarCraft Evolution content, and we'll see if that trend continues in this tournament as well, we have been seeing a lot of shorter games, a lot of all-ins, a lot of very rarely have we seen any kind of mid to late game. So I'm hoping that that does change moving forward coming into this tournament. We shall see, as we are getting into our own Hydrogen. So Hydraliston is on the way, bearing in mind that in Brood War, you do not need a lair. No layers required, and we can go straight into Hydras and straight into Ling Hydra from here, which is kind of like the bread and butter for Brood War Zerg. But how will this fare against that stim timing? Again, the stim timing is going to be hitting at around 4 minutes 30. So 1 more minute. Factory's done, into starport. Ling's going to be zoned away. They will at least delay some mining here at the low ground. Okay, 2 to 9 mining. There's that starport into reactor, into add-on swap, into the eventual 16 marine push across the map. This is going to hit quite hard. And checking Rumeith's vision, he has somewhat confirmed. Yeah, he saw the second racks. He saw the second racks. Like, he should know that sim timing is coming his way. It might be imperative to throw down some sunken colonies to defend. It's always difficult to make that judgment call, though, because you don't know where the drop is coming, whether it will hit the natural or deviate into the main. It's the power of the versatility here of that 16 marine push. Back at home, Rumeith getting his own Eva chamber, building up towards upgrades. Medevacs are coming. They're on the way. Alright, in production. We actually had the eBay before medevac production here. Interesting. Just a singular eBay here from ByuN. This is going to hit a little bit later as a result of that. So this is going to be more delayed. But we make up for that with our extra marines, Again, usually this is lined up with 16 marines and the double drop, but here, because it's going to be hitting a little bit later, we will have extra marines to work with. ByuN, he will soon commit. Stim is now done, and now it's go time. ByuN does rally. Now, as he rallies across, Rumeith, he should be making nothing but Hydras, and he should have enough. Yeah, he's got 4 more Hydras on the way. He'll have plenty to defend and plenty to hold. Now, what's a little bit scary here? Do you see what I see? Third racks. Third racks on the way. There should be a third CC. Third CC should be now in production, but it is heavily delayed to the point where we might even see another racks and a 2-base all-in follow-up. And you could even pull the boys with this as well. Just because there are no banelings, right? Banelings usually deter boys being pulled in TvZ, but that may change here depending on how committed ByuN is going to be. But so far, it does scream 2-base all-in. Double drop into the main. Does mass unload. Again, Hydras, they should be able to keep up and defend. Say that one Hydra does go down. Oh, Sims into the mineral line, getting 5 drones. Yeah, 5 drone kills. Hydras, they have a hard time engaging, especially with reduced surface area. Yeah, they were choked up. And ByuN is trading well. He's trading very well here. Oof. Going to be eventually zoned away, but he does trade more efficiently. And remember what we spoke about previously here, there's no third CC. Like, we're building up for a second wave. This time with tanks. Hydras, they start step in. They do snipe 1 medevac, just barely. How many Hydras? 10. 10 Hydras for 10 Marines, plus all the drone kills and the Zerglings as well. Sorry, I said 10. 13 Hydras even. Looks like 10 Lings, 6 drones. So far, a more efficient trade here by ByuN. And here comes the second push. As I mentioned, 2-base all-in does opt not to pull the boys and does go for a very delayed third base. Because the third base is so delayed, we need economic damage. Like ByuN, he needs to cripple if not kill. Bearing in mind this will be hitting with combat shields and +1. +1 is going to be done in time, maybe during the fight. Jumping to the main base, catching out more drones. Rumeith getting pulled apart. Trying to respond. Does spot the main army. And not much support with the tanks. Tanks are going to go down. Yeah, ByuN, he does abandon his tanks. but he is getting economic damage. And getting 9, 10 drone kills. I mean, this is nice damage, don't get me wrong, but this should trigger a counterattack. We just trade against the Hydras, Pappy. Oh, God. Yeah, Hydras are going down one after the other. Marines are coming from the main as well, and so many Hydras fall, and now there's no counterattack available. That's what, 31 Hydras going down. Insane damage, and the drop is still not even done. It's still not complete. More workers falling. Hydras are trying to lunge in. Losing 5 more Hydras. And ByuN, he's miles ahead. He's ahead economically. He's ahead when it comes to the base count. He's building up his larger army as well. Defensively, his tanks will excel. And as you mentioned, at this point, Rumeith is forced to counterattack, but there's nothing to counterattack with. We have how many? We have 12 Hydras. That's nothing. Yeah, the losses were just a little bit too heavy here. It's too heavy. The trades were too good. ByuN now moving out. Now, if ByuN just pushed with everything, he could kill. Here, he's only going for drop play, so this will give Rumeith the opportunity to maybe take a better fight and hold on, assuming he's in position. As ByuN does step in. Yeah, Sims on forward here, catching out of the Hydra. Oh, the lair is still on the way, so we're still lacking any tech. And here comes ByuN. We're waiting for this main push. As purely Ling Hydra cannot deal with this. I will say that there aren't really many Marines to protect said tanks, but if we can bring everything together, then we can excel. Now ByuN going for his double drop. Into the main. Rumeith out of position. Oh, he doesn't see. Oh no, he doesn't see the unload. Feels bad, man. Oof. And again, death by 1,000 cuts here as more drones are going down. The main base falls as well. Thankfully, it wasn't the lair. Army does respond. All the Lings do go down. ByuN still trades very efficiently. And we're still waiting for the main army. So waiting for the main army. Lurker attack now begins. ByuN, of course, he has his 50 supply lead. Again, it's just been an uphill battle for Rumeith ever since the first 2-on-1 timing. After it hit, it's been Rumeith just fighting, just trying to punch up. Fighting for his life. Yeah. Does lunge in. Does have a decent concave with the Hydras, but the tanks are behind this as well. There are 5 tanks. Oh, God. Yeah, massive tank shots going off. Marines, they pull back. More tank fire. Oof. Oh, God. The Hydras, they cannot engage. GG gets called, and ByuN, he will take game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played again. A very brutal 2-on-1 timing attack there from ByuN, able to get across the map, able to do critical damage and start the ball rolling from there. If you recall, we spoke about how Rumeith, he was forced into an all-in, but he had nothing to all-in with. He was just losing so many Hydras throughout the course of that defense. He just could not maintain himself, he could not maintain his army, his composure, his defenses, his economy. GG, well played, as he was torn apart. And that leads us here into game number 2, and we'll see if Rumeith does stick with Brood War Zerg or switch to SE2 Zerg. Bearing in mind the way this format works, it is loser's pick, so it's up to Rumeith to decide whether he sticks with it or if he does switch. As up next, we're going to be loading into Holy World. I guess what's brutal about the 2-on-1 timing there is that, again, 2-on-1s are not all-ins. They're aggressive, don't get me wrong, but like you still expand behind it typically. ByuN did go for a later expand to go for that +1 timing thereafter as well, to be even more aggressive, to be fair. And again, Rumeith had a harder time defending. So when it comes to how to defend against that kind of push, there are certain builds that do allow you to get into lurker tech a little bit faster. So you can have, a handful of lurkers to maintain a defense. But I will say that 2-on-1 does bypass that for the most part, just because, again, you can bypass, 1 or 2 lurkers and hit another expansion instead. A lot of it, I would say, would come down to Rumeith trying to keep up with the drops and trying to be under the metamax to deny and to deter any kind of unloads to give yourself time to build up again. again. If you remember, the first 2-on-1 hit the main base, and you saw that Rumeith had a very hard time engaging because the hatchery was working against Rumeith as he couldn't get good surface area on the army of ByuN. Here we go. Here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Holy World. We have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the Red Zerg once again representing the Brood War Zerg race. It is Rumeith. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the Teal Terran player. We have the South Korean Terran representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Once again, playing as SC2 Terran. Here we go. Welcome to Holy World. No longer is this a unique feature of the StarCraft Evolution scene, a 4-player spawn map. If you've been watching TLMC, what was it, like 3 4-player spawn maps made it into the top 16? So almost a guarantee that we're going to be seeing 4-player spawn maps in the main base game as well. But you could argue that maybe it was StarCraft Evolution that did kind of lead the charge there when it came to reintroducing 4-player spawn maps in the mindset of the populace as a viable way to play the game and as a viable option as well in regular SC2. So we already have the return of 4-player spawn maps in TLMC, but of course we first saw it here in recent times, in recent months, in recent years. For now, it is going to be Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener at Rumeith, going for a faster 3rd expansion as well. Behind this, going for the pocket base. When it comes to the map itself, welcome to Holy World. Holy World is a 4-player spawn map. You can spawn in top right, top left, and bottom left as well. So 4 possible spawn locations. But when it comes to this map, there's some other really weird quirks, or interesting quirks, that do favor certain styles here. First things first, low ground main. This is something that we have, I believe, never seen in SE2. I don't think we ever will. It is crazy. But a low ground main base, which means you can attack from any which angle as well. We have an entire corridor here surrounding the main expansion, so drop play can be brutal. There are rocks here that you can knock down eventually to gain access to these areas behind the main base, which is where the pocket 3rd base and pocket 4th base are. But again, it'll take time to knock down those rocks. So aggression is favored on this map just because of the high ground advantage to the aggressing player. They take over the high ground, they take over the game. Reaper does spoke in, just dancing with the Zerglings. We also have that 4th base, which is exposed to the elements, exposed to the rest of the map. It is exposed on the other side, of course, can be abused. And likewise, we have disruption webs in the center as well, which you may have noticed earlier. There were the storm-like effects in the center. Think of them like neutral blinding clouds, neutral permanent blinding clouds. This may be the best kind of comparison in SE2. Ooh, speaking of rushing into a lair, Rumeith going into a very fast lair here. Okay, if you recall, I just mentioned this about a possible way to defend. So fast lair into a delayed Hydrogen. This should be for a lurker rush, right? Because your lair is so fast, you can then start lurker production and lurker tech quite quickly. If you remember Su before he retired, he was playing around with a build very similar to this. His variation that was an all-in, where he would hit with lair quickly, then research lurkers quickly, and then go across the map with like 3 lurkers or 4 lurkers to end the game. Would lurker rush. This is similar, but in my mind, it's going to be more defensive. Meanwhile, ByuN back at home, same build, 2-1-1. So we're going for the 2-1-1, stim timing with the medevacs as well. Again, this does typically hit around 4:30 to 5 minutes. So we're almost there. Almost there. This is a different variation, though. If you remember, last time by now, there was already an eBay in production. Oh. And if you remember, that earlier eBay was foreshadowing of the later +1 timing. Okay, eBay is now being thrown down. After said medevac production. And again, lurkers going to be morphing in. Now, my big concern about rushing into lurkers on this map is just how open the bases are. lurkers are very stationary. They're very stationary, they're very immobile, and say if you have lurkers here outside of your natural, then bam, we can hit the mineral line, we can drop into the main base, we can drop into the pocket third base expansion as well. There are just many angles of attack, and trying to keep up with lurkers is not going to be easy. Lurker tech is now done, and we need those lurkers immediately. There it is, three lurkers now morphing in into Spire Tech. Bold move. As they're morphing in there, here comes the double drop. And we'll see if the lurkers can reposition in time. So far, Lings are keeping up. Nicely done. Ev gets a full surround, and we spoke about this, right? We need to be under those medevacs to deny the drop. Ooh, ByuN does unload. Again, there's just so much room to unload. It's like, okay, dropping back around. Lings later to engage. Lurker does burrow. That's still 10 Lings going down for 3 Marines. Oh, he wants that lurker. He wants it. Oh no. Gets a couple of shots off. And again, specifically on this map, there's just so much terrain to work with. You can just go back and forth, drop, undrop, pick up, pull away, scans. He's going for, ooh, tempted. Took too long. Yeah, you can see him pre-split, tempted to dive into the lurkers. He hesitated. And of course, Rumeith has time to respond. So far, Rumeith is holding, by the way. This is so much better than the last game. You know, it's still been a little bit difficult. It has bled out a lot of Lings, but at least he maintains his economy. Mineral lines are safe. We have more lurkers morphing in as well. So again, 2 lurkers behind the base, 2 lurkers here in the main, 1 lurker even. Does go for the scan and does not get the lurker. And again, my concern when it came to this lurker defense was their immobility, but for the most part, we're able to maintain our position. Rumeith, he maintains his bases, he defends well, he's forcing a longer game, and now here comes the Scourge to deter the drop play. That was the purpose of the Spires, to incorporate Scourge. They're the Banelings of the sky. Ooh, as ByuN does reinforce. He's got +1 and combat shields. He takes down the spawning pool. I mean, this is the downside of having a low ground expansion. The pool goes down. Does drop away. Scourge, can they intercept the tanks? They cannot. Oh no! Does unload in time. Gets 1 medevac. Whew. Tanks to unload. There's disruption webs. We still do favor ByuN when it comes to a main army fight. The downside here of all the lurkers is now the Hydra count is much lower. So fewer Hydras, more Ling heavy instead, and the Bio army is going to excel against this, at least if they fight out of range of the lurkers. Once again, going for the Doom Drop. Rumeith trying to reposition, again has very limited vision here on the right hand side. His main focus here in the center, and here comes a mass unload. Now, there are still 2 lurkers. There's 2 lurkers. There's still 2 lurkers here in position. There's still 1 lurker in the main. Sorry, 2 lurkers in the main. So there is still some defense. ByuN is moving in. Behind this, getting his own 3rd CC up and running. Building up his bio. Stims forward. Does spot those lurkers. He wants them. And he's going to get them. Yeah, 1, 2 lurkers going down. And Rumeith, he's racing back. He's racing back to defend. The expansion may fall. Oh god, Lings get choked up. Decent surround, okay. Catching out the army. The Scourge, oh my god, the Scourge will focus down. Not enough, yeah, not enough Scourge. Medevacs they can pull away. And ByuN is not punished. ByuN, he is not punished. Now here comes the main push, the main army. Rumeith being pulled apart left and right. He left nothing in position to defend. Tanks are sieged. And Rumeith, he tries to engage. Oh my god, massive tank shots. Yeah, tanks they punish the Lings. As I mentioned before, lower Hydra counts. Drop back into the main base. Drone's going to be going down, and Rumeith is being torn apart. He's being torn apart here. Again, Rumeith, he did well defending initially, but alas, ByuN, he's still snowballed out of control. I would say that a lot of this came down to the lack of overlords. These overlords here were late to reposition. They were late to reposition, so Rumeith had very little time to react and respond to these drops. But again, that's unique to this map. Like, I still want to emphasize that The specifically on Holy World, drop play is favored so much more. The map itself makes it so much more difficult for Rumeith to keep up. Oh, we just did it. No, the lurkers are outburrowed. One lurker goes down. Rumeith trying to catch reinforcements, but ByuN, he's actually staying at home with them. Staying back home. Pushing further in. Rumeith, he will clean up this small group of Marines at least. He does catch him. Ah. Now here comes ByuN. Now, do we pop off? Do we do something crazy with some hold position micro? Do we? Never mind. He's dropping. Never mind. So let's move out of drop play. Rumeith, he does spot this. He reacts. The Scourge, oh my god. And Scourge, they engage and they do connect, but only just barely. Medivacs, they survive. Scourge, not enough damage. Attacks are moving in and they do outrange the lurkers. Oh boy. Show us the scan. There it is. Oh my god. Yeah, lurkers forcing him in. Marines are ready. Yeah, Marines are ready and waiting. Shut down the Lings. Lurkers, they crumble. GG gets called, and ByuN, who'll claim the series 2-0, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. Whew. GG, well played. ByuN, he will claim the series. He will advance on. Again, Rumeith, he did have a very hard time keeping up with the drop play here on Holy World. I will say that initially, his defense was quite good, was quite strong. Rushing into lurker tech, as I mentioned, that was one of the alternatives to deal with a 2-on-1, is to rush into lurkers as quickly as possible. He was holding, he was defending up until a certain point, but we saw that things over time, ByuN, he opened up the attack path. He was able to catch out 1, 2, 3 overlords, deny any vision, deny any scouting, to eventually get back behind the bases, unscouted, undeterred, and he was able to catch Rumeith out of position. Right, Rumeith had a very hard time reacting, responding to the drops, as he had no forewarning of them, of course, and he was torn apart. GG. GG, well played. Up until that that double drop, getting behind the main base and pushing into the pocket third expansion, up until that point, like Rumeith, he was holding his own. He was holding his own. He was keeping up for the most part. But again, that drop getting into the third base did catch him completely out of position. He lost the expansion. He lost his drones. And as that happened, as he reacted with everything to that drop, then his northern bases were exposed, and that's when ByuN wedged himself in between the fourth and the natural and took it from there. But GG. GG, well played. With that, we are now getting into our next game, into our next series. ByuN does advance on, and up next we have another ZVT. It's going to be Shin versus Mang Russell.